Uh, so the All NBA and all defensive teams were announced, I think yesterday, and of course, with the All NBA teams and all defensive teams, you have the snubs and everything. Let me just read off the All Defensive team first. So all defensive first team, no second team, no let's do first. First team is Giannis Antetokounmpo, Rudy Gobert, Draymond Green, Drew Holiday, and Ben Simmons. I don't really have a problem with any of those. Uh, I mean, Rudy Gobert won the Defensive Player of the Year, so you know he has to be part of the first team. Draymond Green still, I mean, a lot of people may not like him, but you can't deny his defensive ability. Drew Holiday's, I can't. Ben Simmons, who a lot of people thought should have won the Defensive Player of the Year, I can't be mad at that. The second team, you have Bam Adebayo, Jimmy Butler, Joel Embiid, Matisse Thybulle, and Kawhi Leonard. I mean, if you want to talk about snubs, the only people I could see maybe make it is Lou Dort. I know a lot of people don't know much about Lou Dort because he plays for Oklahoma City, and I know he missed the end of the season due to injury. But Lou Dort is an incredible defender. Maybe Paul George could have been in there. I don't know. Mikal Bridges. I don't know. Clint Capella maybe. But Miles Turner. I mean, I know he missed a lot of the season due to injury, but Miles Turner could have been there. But I'm not mad at the Defensive Player of the Year. Defensive Player of the Year selections. I think, all defensive teams. I'm not mad at those selections because the people that should have been there, except maybe one or two. But then again, in the same thing that we're about to talk about with the All NBA team, who are you going to take off to put someone on? And I couldn't see myself taking off anybody to put on Lou Dort. Even though Lou Dort, if he was on this list, I wouldn't be upset at all. It's just hard for me to, even though a lot of people don't know who Matisse Thybulle is, he's been incredible. I mean, Kawhi Leonard, I know you can say what you say in the regular season. I mean, in the playoffs, getting torched by Donovan Mitchell and torched by Luka, but it's still Kawhi Leonard. Joel Embiid is having probably the best defensive year he's ever had. So I can see it. I'm not mad with the Defensive Player of the Year list. Then you get to the All NBA team, and of course with the All NBA team you have snubs. So what I'm going to do is I'm going to give you my All NBA snub team. I'm only going to give you one team, but in order to talk about that, let's talk about who made the teams. First, All NBA first team, you had Steph Curry, Luka Doncic, Giannis Antetokounmpo, Kawhi Leonard, and Nikola Jokic. I have no problem with the first team as far as the people that made it. I would have put Damian Lillard, who made the second team. I would have put him on the first team and dropped Luka Doncic down. I understand that the Dallas finished, I believe, with a better record than the Portland Trailblazers, but I feel that Damian Lillard had a better season than Luka Doncic, and I would have rewarded him with being a first teamer. Moving forward, though, second team, you had Damian Lillard, Chris Paul, LeBron James, Julius Randle, and Joel Embiid. The only argument I can see is about LeBron James, seeing as though he missed a lot of time due to injury, but that's still LeBron James. And before the injury, he was, LeBron James was an MVP discussion. So I'm not mad at any of the second team list. I do believe Chris Paul should have been there. I do believe Damian Lillard, like I said, I would have put him on the first team and put Luka Doncic on the second. Julius Randle, you have to reward Julius Randle for having one of the best. He had statistically one of the best seasons a Knicks player has had since Melo. And he got the Knicks to, I think, the 4th seed. And this is the same Knicks who nobody thought was going to make the playoffs outside of the team. So, and of course, Joel Embiid, he finished second in MVP. He has to be on the second team. Third team is where it gets interesting. You have Kyrie Irving, Bradley Beal, Paul George, Jimmy Butler, and Rudy Gobert. Now, first and foremost, the Bradley Beal deserved to be on this team. I'm not mad at his third team because of the success of the Wizards. But Bradley Beal finished second in scoring again, and Bradley Beal deserved to be on this team. A lot of people don't like Paul George. I get that. A lot of people like to throw around the whole pandemic P. A lot of people like to say what he has or hasn't done in the playoffs. A lot of people want to make jokes about Paul George. I get it. But this is yet another year where Paul George was incredible in the regular season. So Paul George definitely deserves to be on the All-NBA third team. And Rudy Gobert, Defensive Player of the Year. There isn't really many centers. Of course, you had Bam could have been there maybe. Anthony Davis was out, so I'm not mad with Rudy. I'm not mad with Kyrie Irving and Jimmy Butler, but here's the thing. Like I said, I'm gonna give my all snub team. Let's start with the point guard for the All-NBA Snubbed team. And this is, of course, mine, the Unpopular podcast. So, you know. First and foremost, at point guard, you can't tell me that, at least this season, there has been 15 players better than Donovan Mitchell. Seeing as though the Utah Jazz has the number 1 record in the league. And I know he did miss time, but so did LeBron James. And if you're going to reward LeBron James, now I'm not saying LeBron James and Donovan Mitchell on the same level. Don't hear me say that. But what I'm saying is, if you're going to reward LeBron James for what he did before the injury, you have to do that with Donovan Mitchell. Donovan Mitchell, I know, missed the end of the season, but he's still a huge part of Utah being where Utah was at the end of the season and even where Utah is today. Now, you can have an argument between who was more important between Rudy Gobert and Donovan Mitchell, but what I'm saying is you can't have the number 1 overall team in the league and not have the point guard, especially when the point guard has been so pivotal that Donovan Mitchell had to be on one of these teams. So I have Donovan Mitchell at point guard. Now, I understand you can make an argument about Russell Westbrook. You can make an argument about James Harden. But James Harden was out. Russell Westbrook, I understand that this is, of course, 4th out of the 5 years that he averaged a triple-double. But when you look at some of the late game, and this is, to me, that's the biggest thing that's holding Russell Westbrook back, is his offense, his ability, his lack of ability to shoot, and his late game his late game mindset, man. And again, I wouldn't be upset if Russell Westbrook made this list. I mean, again, he finished with a triple-double again. And I think that if you were to put Russell Westbrook in, I think he had a better season than Kyrie Irving. Now, again, I understand Brooklyn finished with a better record than the Washington Wizards. But, again, Russell Westbrook was a huge reason why the Wizards are or were where they were, especially, Russell Westbrook and Bradley Beal. But, I feel Russell Westbrook had a better season than Kyrie Irving, but the thing that held Russell Westbrook back, in my opinion, again, is his lack of shooting and his late game decision making is still off, man. And any Wizard fan who wants to go up, like who is upset about this, which I understand, but you have to understand, like, you know how bad Russell Westbrook is late game situations. Sometimes, most of the time. Like, you know it. That's one thing. You can argue that Russell Westbrook is this, Russell Westbrook is that. One thing that you cannot argue is Russell Westbrook be having some bonehead decisions in late game situations. And I think that's what held him back from making this team. But let me keep going. So you have shooting guard. Shooting guard, I had Russell Westbrook. I mean, I just said all that. I just said all that. Now, you could have put James Harden on there, but James Harden I think he only played half the season due to injury, and of course what happened with Houston. And James Harden was incredible, don't get me wrong, but I just feel, Russell Westbrook, I mean, you average a triple-double. You have to reward that. Now, everything that I just said about Russell Westbrook is still true, but I had Russell Westbrook as my shooting guard. So my point guard is Donovan Mitchell. My shooting guard is Russell Westbrook. My small forward is Devin Booker. I mean, looking at the Suns' success this year, I mean, they're the second best, or record-wise, they're the second best team in the league. And a lot of that was because of Chris Paul, and a lot of that was because of Donovan Mitchell. I mean, not Donovan Mitchell, Devin Booker. And I looking at the scoring discrepancy or looking at the scoring chart of the Phoenix Suns, Devin Booker is by far their best scorer and most important scorer. I mean, I know you have Chris Paul in his mid range, but Devin Booker is able to, get to the rim. He's able to kill you mid range. He's able to shoot threes. I mean, you saw what he did against the Lakers. Like, Devin Booker has been. I think Devin Booker might end up as being one of those consistent, just missed it type people, which sucks. Damian Lillard, and when we talk about, before the boom of Damian Lillard, he was one of those people as well. But I think Devin Booker could end up on the list of players that just may never get on. Not saying that it just he's playing in a position that's tough, man. Like when you look at the shooting guard position, you have Luka, you have James Harden, you have Bradley Beal, you have Steph. If we're just talking about guards, you have Dame, you have Kyrie, you have Russell Westbrook, you have Paul George, but they put him as forward. So, but you have Chris Paul. Like it's such a saturated. It's such a tall task making the All-NBA guard or forward list. Because if you look at the forwards, you have KD, you have LeBron, you have Paul George, you have Jimmy Butler, you have Giannis, you have Kawhi. So this is not a disrespect on Devin Booker. I do think that he did deserve, but to be on an All-NBA team this year. But it's just tough. It's just tough. And I think he could end up being one of those players that just, maybe never makes it or doesn't make it until like, I don't know, a few years from now when you see the guards kind of change hands, if you know what I mean. So I have Devin Booker as small forward. I have power forward. I have Jason Tatum. I understand that, and Jason Tatum kind of falls in the same boat right now as I can understand. If I were to take somebody out of the All-NBA third team, I guess I would have done Jimmy Butler. Don't get me wrong. No disrespect to Jimmy Butler, but Jimmy Butler to me didn't have a better season than Jason Tatum. I mean, Jason Tatum had a couple 50, a couple 60-point games. Jason Tatum was with a team that saw Kemba Walker go in and out of the lineup due to injury. A team that saw Marcus Smart go in and out of the lineup due to injury. A team that saw Jaylen Brown go in and out of the lineup due to injury. The most consistent person was Jason Tatum. And Jason Tatum, I said it before. I know I did an episode where I said who's going to be the best. The next best, and Jason Tatum's on that list. Jason Tatum is rapidly approaching to being a superstar. I don't think he is quite yet, but Jason Tatum had one of the best seasons this year, and to me that's going to go under the rug because, like I said, this forward position. First of all, it's going to go on the rug because of the lack of success that we saw from Boston, especially with the expectation that they had. And it's because of the guard spot is so saturated, man. And it's so tough to crack that forward list. I'm sorry. So I have Jason Tatum as the power forward, and center is Domantas Sabonis. A lot of people don't. He's one of those players that probably won't make. Well, he did make it last year, didn't he? I think, but. No, he was all-star. I don't know. But Sabonis, he's not a flashy player. He plays for Indiana, which isn't flashy at all. So he's not a person that's going to get a lot of shine. But Sabonis is still one of the best bigs in the league that just doesn't, because he just doesn't get shine. But Sabonis has been incredible. And Sabonis is one of those players that he may not get the credit that he deserves, but Sabonis is incredible. So my All-NBA snub team is Donovan Mitchell, Russell Westbrook, Devin Booker, Jason Tatum, and Domantas Sabonis. So and again, there's a lot of other players, James Harden, like I said, Kevin Durant, even though he missed a lot of the season, Zion, Bam Adebayo. A lot of people were saying De'Aaron Fox could have made it. I don't know. There's a lot of people that could have made the list, and that doesn't negate the fact that they're still incredible players. You know what I mean? So, shouts out to the players that did make it, and shouts out to my All NBA snub team.